Since we finished the last album, Sat and Saw the Seaside over in Corsica, we got back to Australia and we've just been busting out shows non-stop. I've basically been living in this car, putting in the yards. We played like over 200 shows that year afterwards. Most of this album was written on the road, touring Sat and Saw the Seaside. Yeah, a lot of what you can hear on this album has come from various parts of Australia over the last year. They've all been times and places, like our time in Exmouth, time out on the Cape and Ningaloo, our time in the Blue Mountains, our time on the Great Ocean Road, the Nullarbor. Like, they've come from everywhere. India. The travel and the experience of it feeds the well which I draw on when I write. A lot of it's been born in this car. Yeah, oh, it's been awesome. Check it out, Yama-Nui.
Shake, 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 shake. Yeah. Shake, 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 shake.
Mountain of strength when music is made. 10 days. We got 10 days, we're gonna make a record. We got Dave on the camera, we got Paulie B on the desk, and the genius ideas. We got OJ on the bass, Bobby on the kit, the percussion, all things rhythmical, Ken on the trumpet, Lindsay on the sax, Sol on BVs, Ange on BVs, kids on good times, MJ on feature vocals, beautiful, beautiful words and beautiful melodies and beautiful meals.
In conversation, there's much more said than done. So get down and dance for the new.
This one's going to be a revisitation of my funk, my jazz, and even little bits of reggae and soul. Stuff that I delved into on Rivermouth that we came away from a little bit on the last record, and I'd love to bring back, make a big band record, something you can dance to, something with lots of layers still and lots of depth and lots of diversity, something with groove. There's a wonderful creative arts and media conference festival in the southwest back home in Margaret River called Emergence. They do a whole lot of workshops. They needed some extras for photography one. It turns out it was halfway down a 20-metre cliff face. And so I took my guitar along and I abseiled down this cliff face down at the really abrupt cliffs. I hung out there. It was a beautiful spot, just looking out over the coastline and sitting out on my own little ledge with my guitar. Couldn't see anyone around. One by one, these photographers just started abseiling down the cliff next to me taking photos. I guess while I was sitting there on the edge of the cliff with my guitar, lines started coming, and that's where Vibes on the Wind was born, on that edge of the cliff.
To be here again, part of the master plan. I'm grounded, I'm surrounded.
I don't often play much lead these days. We've been smashing out so many solo duo gigs. A lot of my focus has been on the fingerstyle stuff and weaving my melodies through those finger patterns. It was a nice opportunity, or a breath of fresh air even, to get to have a bit of a whack at a guitar solo. Good fun, love the wah. What are you talking about?
Listen to the melody, to the sound, yeah. Wake up to the sound.
It's fitting, it's Wake Up to the Sound. It flows on nicely from the last words of Sat and Saw the Seaside, being here and now you wake, waking up from unconsciousness, waking up from the dream, waking up from a slumber, that spell that we think that the only things that exist in this world are what we perceive. And this record, this concept is about waking up to the fact that there's a lot more out there than what we directly experience and what we directly perceive. You can listen to the songs on this record, but on some level you're hearing not just the songs, but everything that's gone into them. You'll hear the stories of everyone who's contributed to them. to put that into a musical context, I like to call it the universe. Universe. The song that everyone sings, the song that everyone is a part of.
I've been need
A story about a lighthouse and a lighthouse keeper on the Great Ocean Road down in Victoria. There's a lighthouse called Cape Otway Lighthouse looking out over the Southern Ocean, and it was one of the first to be built in Australia because many of the ships that were sailing from England to Melbourne had to pass between King Island and Cape Otway, which lie about 90 k's away from each other, hence the 90k neck. It had the name Eye of the Needle. All the ships sailing through there on their way to Melbourne had to thread the Eye of the Needle, all the while copying storms off Antarctica. There's so many shipwrecks along there, so they built this lighthouse.
In the waves from the shelter of its lighthouse walls, it stays illuminated, waiting for sailors to safely pass through the eye of the needle. Another captain threads through the 90k neck now.
I used to play a bit of reggae when I was younger, and I haven't been playing so much the last few years. So it was nice to get back to this kind of vibe. Yeah, it was nice to see Sol in the studio, came in and out, and like half hour, thanks for coming, getting it done. I'm gonna have Sol on this song, to give him his own verse or something, you know? It actually turned out to be a really nice opportunity to give some more depth to the story. The bit of an old sea captain. Did the job description very well. Should have gotten him his sailor's hat. We wrote this one back in Corsica the first time we went round in 2015 from the first documentary. Lindsay and Maddie and I were having a jam in the garage. Lindsay came up with this horn line, and it was this hook that he can't remember and I can't remember, and it didn't even make it onto the song, but we were playing it one arvo. I heard it and I thought, oh, this is awesome. I wrote some chords for it and I wrote all these words, and I came back and he was like, what was I doing? And I was like, oh, I don't know, like something like this, and we never got back there.
Shake, 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 shake.
It's a party song, man. It's about enjoying the transition out of mundane life and into a new way of being, and focusing on the energetic side of that, the fun side of that, the positivity. Yeah, it's just a feel-good, happy house party vibe song that we all got in on in the end, which was cool. Nice to have lots of energy on the track. I love the processes of nature and watching it unfold, and the fluidity in which it does, relentlessly but harmoniously. Rain Cloud is a song about that process of evaporation and journey of a cloud from birth over the ocean, coming back over the land. We had a few thoughts about the intro. We decided to just get a live take, a raw recording using my Zoom when it was raining. I just sat outside here under the tin roof and had a bit of a play. We captured that moment. That became the intro, which I think is really nice to have a bit of raw, live, environmental, atmospheric stuff.
Watch it flow over the dunes, and I wonder if blue is the color I'll be seeing tomorrow.
How funny is it that we ended up on a mountain again to record an album? First Written in Tibetan was the last song that I wrote. It wasn't really meant to be on this album. I'd already shortlisted more than 15 songs for it.
On the roof of the world.
It needed to be put down, and it was all there. It was so much fun to put this down because it was so short between conception and recording, and there were so many ideas kicking around in my mind. I'm amazed with where it's taken us. There's been some really nice colourings added to this song. You know, I talk about where these songs come from because it's so important to know the purpose of a song or the backstory of a song or the destination. This song in particular is a track that I really feel has taken me on a journey.
Back to their home in freedom, wandering hand in hand. People of the land, gonna raise their flag.
Wattle Tree corroboree came on the Nullarbor, crossing from east to west. Often when we travel around, we come to a new place, I like to introduce myself, say who I am, where I've come from and why I'm here. Tuning into that is a very important thing, and that's a big theme of this song, Wattle Tree corroboree. It's about listening out and learning from nature, from the trees, listening to them rustle and letting them guide you on your journey, following your nose, your intuition and the signs along the way, because they're out there. It's just seeing them.
I'm learning now. I'm feeling into every little thing, every little thing. Ha!
In this modern day, like, we travel because we've got somewhere to be. And I think it's a really nice thing to have the luxury of time to go on a journey that doesn't necessarily have a destination.
Dust kicks up from
I've always had, all throughout my childhood and onwards, such a strong connection to the ocean. I've always been a bit of a dolphin and lived under the water. It's an amazing thing to go under the waves and access that stillness and that peace. Not many people know this, but once you dive down past 8 to 10 meters underwater, the weight of the water above you actually pushes you down and you go into like a free fall, like you're skydiving. You don't have to swim, you just fall. It's an amazing space, it's an amazing experience because you're on one breath, it's fully here. It's an amazing meditation, a very freeing feeling. The practice to bring you back into the present is such a wonderful thing for so many people, and has the capacity to ease tension and refill the body and the soul. It's a beautiful thing. That's what I was trying to convey with this song.
And dive to clear your mind, to go inside. We all still know that if we take it on, it will take us below. And no doubt that over the years I will shed some tears. So may they shed from my body my fears, my faults and my souls. Like a turtle that's eternal.
I just thought it was a really nice metaphor for all the things that we take on, all the toxins and the weight that we take on in our lives, and how we can let go of that through emotion and move it and transcend it. I guess in essence it's like saying when we're balanced and free, life is better. Homeostasis makes for the best ride.
Let it all fall by the wayside. Homeostasis makes for the best ride. Let it all fall.
Total Tears was the live track on the album. It was cool because we all had eye contact and we were all fully locked in. I think we did 3 or 4 takes and it was so beautiful. It's so nice just to listen back to a song that is exactly as it happened. It's just a moment in time and it's a great vibe.
My faults and my souls, like a turtle that's eternally crying its reverse. So if soda takes on, well, I see it's universal. I feel the chill.
Sun Up was written on the curb of some street in some little town in central New South Wales somewhere, after we'd been driving through floods on our way up to the Sunshine Coast to start our tour last year. We sat and saw the seaside, and I got up really early and jumped out the car and grabbed my ukulele out and saw the sunrise, and wrote this song. To rise.